Yes, your boy Florida French. It's that life of shit. The opposite, that life of shit. This that life of shit. The opposite, that life of shit. The opposite, that life of shit. The opposite, this that life of shit. Come on, man. La, la. This that life of shit. That poetic justice shit. All out with a nigga here, scream your government. I went to sleep broke, but I woke up ballin'. 6 in the morning, I can hear that money calling, so I hit my knees and say a prayer and set a tip. Pray to the Lord, give me strength, I had no fear, you can't get no realer. You know this nigga message here, I'm gonna touch a nigga hard and I'm gonna make this message clear. You see I got some demons, and best believe I keep them sleeping. They call it grimace, I call it Christmas. What's the difference, young boy? You should've listened and kept them peoples out your business and kept your enemies closer. Cause just like every mission, there's gonna be some opposition. They trying to block your vision while you hating on me. They wanna take your position and have them diamond glisten. But will you hustle and motivate? Yeah, that.
Yeah, that's what's happening. What it do? This is another New Black World Order TV Productions. Chopper. My man Florida French in the building. What's up, G?
What's going on? How you doing, my brother?
What you doing, family? Hey, man, it's a pleasure and an honor to talk to you, bruh, to have this interview with you, right? I know this is like the first interview since, you took Richmond by stage, right?
Yeah.
What I don't mean that Richmond don't know you, but you stood up, right, as that leader, as that warrior, as that alpha black male, right? When I seen you leading all them people on the steps of the mayor's office, let's talk about that right there. What's good? That day, when you led those hundreds of people, right, in front of the mayor's office, and you spoke that day about your experience with systematic police brutality, right?
Right.
Your experience with racism. Let's talk about that day. What was you feeling?
Well, that day,
Yeah, take your time, cause I know it was a lot going on there.
It was a lot going on that day. I can honestly say that it was heartfelt what happened in the city. It was heartfelt what happened all over the world that night. And
they tear gassed you.
they tear gassed us and some more stuff, man. And I was laid down the alleyway, and 3 cops wanted to beat me up. You know what I'm saying? And I ran, bro. I was by myself. And right then and there, it was like, wow. Like, they were really finna do something to me. I don't even know who they were. They had their face covered.
Right. They ain't identify their names.
They didn't even identify themselves.
Right. Gestapo.
Right.
Right.
So.
When you was on that, out there that day, it was a lot of people out there, man. It was like it was so much energy out there.
Absolutely, it was so much energy.
Right.
It was a lot of energy. You had good people, you had bad people. You know what I'm saying? But during that time, I took the time out to let my voice be heard, and I told the black officer, I was like, brother, you're not working for us, you're working against us, and we're trying to get something accomplished here. And it was after that I seen that stuff happened to me. You know what I'm saying? And so right then and there, I realized that we needed to de-escalate, and to rethink our steps, as a people, I watched that night as several protesters, they were screaming at the officers, and they wasn't getting anything, and it wasn't getting anything accomplished. It was just like, well, you screaming at me. Screaming isn't a effective communication.
Right.
You know, they do listen, but however, when it's an overwhelming crowd of 300 plus people screaming the same thing, you can't ignore that.
Right. You can't ignore that. So, y'all ain't got their attention, right? Cause
Right.
y'all turned the fuck up, right? Like I said, I was proud of the black youth. You know what I'm saying? And I celebrated, what they were going through, because I knew it was an initiation process.
Yeah.
Right? It was separating the truth from the fake.
Absolutely.
Right? And when I saw you on them steps and you began to speak about how the police had abused you years ago,
Yes.
And I saw the passion, right? And I saw you almost brought to tears when you were speaking about your struggle to get them to listen to you, and how they attempted to rearrest you, sabotage you, set you up, etc., etc. And that was the reason why you let loose the rage. You feel me?
Yes.
A lot of people that was there never experienced anything with the police officer. They was just there to ride on the wave of what was going down, but you were expressing years of what? Frustration.
Absolutely.
Speak about that, King.
Well, pretty much, I grew up in Orlando, and just like I grew up in a pretty good neighborhood, but it was still the hood, and people didn't have shit, people were broke, and some of our fathers were taken away from us at an early age, put in the system, you know, and so we didn't really have any true father figure to be there for us.
Right.
And so I was about 14 years old. I was in school, man, and they took my first time going to jail was for truancy. Not going to school. My grandfather had died, and my grandmother was succumbing to what do you call it? When you have great memory loss.
Dementia.
Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Alzheimer's.
And dementia.
Alzheimer's or dementia, but mainly they call it Alzheimer's. And she was succumbing to Alzheimer's and shit. And my grandmother hadn't worked in years. My grandfather took care of us.
That manhood, that black manhood.
That black manhood. He was a stand up guy. And everything he did, he tried to do it in the right manner. He served in the war. He was in the Korean War.
He made an impression upon you of how black manhood should be.
Right. And he told me, he said, Frank, he said, I wish I never went to war. No man should experience it.
Right.
And they lock us up, and he said that they taught him a lot of things in the army, and he taught me what systemic oppression is, and
racism in the army,
and racism in the army. Your superiors were white. You really didn't have a voice. You just did what they told you to do still.
Drowning out black voices.
Drowning out black voices, and you went out there on the front lines. And while they came in the second wave, and after a vast majority of black soldiers have died, they come in and take all the credit.
Right. This was happening to your grandfather.
Right, and this is what happened more for my grandfather. And he told me, don't you ever fall for that game. And after my grandfather died, they left the man of the house, the manliness, the fatherhood,
the absence.
And that absence took over me, because I was, little did I realize that I was not the man of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And being that my grandmother was getting sick as well,
You had to follow that example of that manhood.
Right, I had to follow the example of that manhood, and you know, I tried to beat that. However, my first experience in going to jail,
with the police,
with the
pig,
right? With the police, yeah, the police took me to jail down there in Orlando, and my first experience, you know, like I said, it was for truancy, but nevertheless, you know, the way I was treated made me rebellious.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, nah, nobody should ever get treated like that.
Right.
You
That
know?
was your first experience with your black manhood being opposed.
Right.
You got to see sort of what your grandfather was telling you.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, you know, from that experience, you know, I kind of, you know, I kind of didn't like officers anymore at that point. And I don't hate anybody, you know. Hate is such a strong word, and you know, what you hate sometimes you become.
Mm-hmm.
And
the hate you gave me.
The hate you gave me makes me exactly the same as you. And I refuse to, and I refuse to repeat that cycle. So
but you kept experiencing it.
right, and I kept experiencing, you know, and me being the man that happened, I was a kid. I wasn't able to get a job and fend for myself. You know, my family was there, but at the end of the day, everybody had their own lives, and I was left there. It was just me and my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried to figure out how to be a man on my own.
Right.
At that point, you know, taking a few pointers from my grandfather, he said, "Don't let nobody tell you nothing. Live your life as well." And you know, I never really listened to anybody. I've always followed my own path. You know.
Mm-hmm. The alpha was developing in you.
Yes.
Right. And that's what the pigs don't like. That's what the established authorities don't like. So you had to decide how was you going to chart your way through that. Talk about that. What was your next experience with the pigs and racism?
The pigs and racism. My well. My second experience, my next experience was, I was 14 years old, and you know, I went to jail, and an officer beat me up.
Okay. At 14 years old.
At 14 years old, even though he was black, he was still just as white as they was, because at the end of the day,
a pig is a pig.
A pig is a pig, and he was corrupt. And he beat me up, man, and it messed up my eye right here. You know, I had to get a couple stitches, and you know, they swept it under the rug like it never happened. You know, and I was like, this man really caused an abrasion over my eye.
Mm-hmm.
And he said I slipped and hit my head on the toilet.
The pen is mightier than the sword. They say.
The pen is mightier than the sword. It's just, yeah. And that's exactly how they deemed it. No, you know, the news came out, and it was one little 30-second clip of it, and it was gone.
Right, swept under the rug.
Right.
This is the historical continuity of systematic police brutality.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a black pig or a white pig. It's still a pig.
Right.
And they treated you bad. So to go into that. So after they swept that under the rug, how did you handle that? How did you feel? How did it shape you? How did it direct you?
It directed me to actually be rebellious and fall right into the trap of the system.
The trap house?
Exactly. You know, it caused me to fall into the trap of the system, which is the trap house.
Right.
And
Because the police is a gang. The pigs is a gang too.
Yeah, they're a gang within
Right.
themselves. They
Right.
blue protects blue.
They got a no snitching rule, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
They
like a
don't tell on
gang,
each
right?
other.
Right, right. So did you kind of feel like you were fighting a criminal organization that was posing as law enforcement?
Hell yeah.
Okay. So that made you like it created a us against them mentality in you at 14 years old.
Yeah, it was at that point it was us against them, and I took that lick on the head, man, and I ran with it, and I seen that same officer when I was 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was a little bigger, a lot sturdier. I've been through some things in life now. I had gained that concrete jungle experience.
Right, right, right.
Um, and I seen him again, and he said, "Hey, Frank, let bygones be bygones." And I was like, "Nah. If we was to ever see each other, we'd have to do some mutual combat as a adult, bro.
Right, right,
Because
right.
what you did to me was dead ass wrong. Since they won't give me justice,
Right,
I'm gonna get some self justice."
right, right.
I was a child, bro. I was 14, bro. And I was a square. I ain't no shit about shit.
Right, right. And he treated you just like the white pig would treat you.
Right.
And his excuse for his injustice against you was the same excuse that the white pig would say. That's why I say I don't care what color it is, a pig is a what?
It's a pig.
And so did you experience anything else after that with the with systematic police brutality and racism?
Yeah.
Whether it came in the
Plenty
form
of times. I seen it all throughout the hood. People be like, know what I'm saying? People hang out, and even if we ain't doing nothing, they'll still hop out and bother us and slam us on our neck and ask us what's our name, and straight violate all our constitutional rights that we are supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
But they aren't honored.
Right. So when each one of those times, I noticed that you mentioned the Constitution. The Constitution is a beautiful document only if it was carried into practice, right? But we realize that we're dealing with hypocrites, and like I said before, we're dealing with a gang, right? And they rock them 4 letters PIGS. They pigs, right? So once you realize that, I guess a lot of young males your age realize that. And so the rebelliousness was also a part of your manhood growing up because you developed your own identity, your own individual personality, and you also realized that you were powerful.
Yeah.
But you realized that you were being opposed by a system, a gang of thugs and criminals who pose as servants to the community.
Yes.
How does a teenager even unpack all of that? How do they deal with that? How do they wrap their minds around that?
A lot of the times they can't. And why do you think they? And a lot of times they can't. It makes them worse, man. What they're oppressing them, and then the people who have already been rebellious against them because of it. They're putting them in there with those people. So guess what? Iron is sharpening iron, and we're waking up gradually. Hey, bro, this is what they're doing to us. They start reading,
Right.
People start learning, and I learned.
Mm-hmm.
That at the end of the day, a child is the most precious thing in this world. It's what keeps our life going. It's what keeps this world going.
Mm-hmm.
Without people, the things that we have now would, they'll tear down, break down, and in this world it'll just be filled with animals. Or probably couldn't exist. Or it would return to its natural state.
Okay, all right. So a kid realized early that the deck is stacked against them.
Yes.
Right. So you try to go in a more positive way. Did you ever try to get a job as a teenage kid?
Yes, I had one job, and
And did you experience any racism with that?
absolutely. I met this Russian lady, man. She was from Russia, man. She was my manager, and
You
one
were
day
working where?
I was working at a Wendy's.
Okay, okay.
And this is in Maitland, Florida. I was it was 16, my first job. I was going to Edgewater High School, man, and this woman, it was Miss Janet and Miss Casey. I never forget her. Miss Janet was just a sweetheart, and she was like, "I'm going to start you off at $9 an hour," and she realized that I was a people person, and she put me at the window, and she gave me compliments and how good of a person I was. And then there was this white lady, tall, and she was from Russia, and once she became the manager and Miss Janet left, I started noticing changes in my paycheck and my hours, and all the other people, they would be on more,
Okay.
right, and I guess maybe she prejudged me because of the way I talk, the way I walk, the way I acted, and because you can obviously tell that, I, where I came from as a kid.
Right, you
I came from
developing your own personality.
I developed my own personality. You could tell that I was from the hood.
This America.
Right,
this
you
America.
you could tell I was from the hood.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I guess she didn't like that, and she just started cutting my hours. And one day I went up there to get my check. She said, "You're fired."
Mm.
And I was like, "Nah, where's my check?" She was like, "Well, you didn't work." I said, "Yes, I did," and I didn't really have anybody to back me, So I ended up losing that job, and I went to the streets again.
Right.
Because
you like I'm
right.
leaving the trap alone. I'm gonna try the job thing. Right.
Right.
I see this police gang is stacked against me. So let me go over here and experience this. Then you run into the same exact.
And then I got something right back out, and I went right back to doing the same thing that I was doing, which is selling drugs and doing what you got to do to survive, man. And my next experience was I was 18, man, and I was walking down the street, man, and I got profiled by an officer because I had a mohawk haircut. I just had the mohawk because I thought it was cool.
Right. You developing your own personality.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I seen other people with it, and I was like, all right, cool. That might look good on me. So I did that. And I was walking down the street, and I was on West 50, West Colonial, Orlando, Florida. And I ran into this officer, and he just hopped out on me and my friend. He was like, where you guys headed? I was like, none of your damn business. I said, he was like, stop for a second. I said, yeah, what's up? I said, nah, I ain't trying to really talk to you like that. He said, you got any weapons on you? I say, nah. He said, can I search you? I say, no. And he still searching me.
Violation of your constitutional rights again and your manhood.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And he still searching me. And then I asked him why was he stopping me. He said I matched the description of an armed robbery suspect.
Okay. Yeah. Typical, right?
Right.
That's one they use all the time, right?
Right. I said an armed robbery suspect. I say, I ain't never robbed nobody a day in my life. And he was like, what did he say? And what did he
say? The hair. Start describing his subject.
Right. And he was like, well, You know, you match the scripture with the mohawk haircut and all that. And then, for some reason at the time, you know, I asked him, I say, well, if somebody called in a armed robbery, then you'll have to produce. I want you to produce that 911 call. Tell me, or produce a victim or something. They never brought anybody to ID me.
Right, because it was bullshit.
Right.
It's the pigs bullshit.
Right. They never brought anybody to ID me. And then I was in court, and I had a public defender. Her name was Erin Hyde. And, you know, although I did get 3 years fucking with this lady, but I still shouldn't have had to go to prison at that time. You know, I shouldn't even had the charge, you know, because for one, my constitutional rights had been violated.
They put the robbery charge on you.
Right. No, they never put a robbery charge on me. I haven't explained to her. I ain't got that. To
Okay, all right.
What
you went to jail for, yeah.
And, you know, the case they put on me was they charged me with 2 guns and drugs, you know, cocaine, weed, and they was like, you're a walking trap house. That's what they called me, you know.
You was affiliated at the time?
At that time, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What set you was from?
I'm Lincoln Park.
Oh, all right. No doubt. What up?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, you know.
But, you know, they let me walk in trap house, you know, and when I went to trial on it, you know, I asked them to produce the 911 call to where somebody actually gave that description or said there was an armed robbery and let me hear the 911 call that you allegedly responded to.
Right.
You know, that plays a big part because, okay, well, if you didn't get a 911 call and you lied to me and you hopped out on me like that, that is still wrong.
Yeah, that's illegal.
That is illegal. You just lied to me and put me in a scenario you didn't have no right to put me in.
Right, so you wanted to search me.
You just hopped out and basically just wanted to hop out and search me without actually having any probable cause just because I'm walking down West Colonial Drive and I'm black with a haircut that don't really mean shit.
Right. That's crazy, bro. So you did 3 years on that thing.
Yeah, over a trend, over a stereotype.
A stereotype.
Over me being over the color of my skin and everything. All of those things played a part in me going to prison for 3 years of my life.
Right. From day one, when your first experience with police officers. Right. It's a pipeline, bro. From schools to prisons, bro. It's a trap, right? Man. It's set up. It's designed. It's set up, right? Mm-hmm. So the liberals, right, was.
But pardon me, bro, even more so, bro. But if you ever look at the times I went to jail and throughout my childhood, it was 9 times out of 10 for truancy.
Was them schools? I mean, what was it about school that didn't attract you or keep your mind? Or was it more so about surviving in this?
I love school.
Okay.
And